Hello and welcome back to the channel. Steuben here, and today we have a little bit of some gameplay, something that I've been really wanting to bring to the channel, and we finally have the opportunity to do so. I was joined by my buddy Trezor the day before Christmas Eve to be able to record some gameplay at the shop, and I was super excited for this. So we are going to feature the Blastoise Vmax deck profile that we covered last week as well. So if you want to see what this list is, card for card, head over to the link down in the description below. But I do start off with a Sobble as well as Trezor. Starting with a Comfey, I do get a Blastoise V down onto the bench and play a Capacious Bucket here to search for 2 Water Energy cards. Getting these energy into your hand is pretty important and pivotal here, especially just to attach, because Blastoise does require 3 and 4 energy to use its attacks. But we just see an attach on to the Blastoise in a pass, and Trezor does open up with a Battle VIP pass to be able to grab a couple more Pokemon from the deck. We do see the Giratina V hitting the bench, as well as another Comfey, so they can use a couple flower selectings and get a couple cards into the Lost Zone to really start filling the engine up so that they can hit the magic number of 7 for that Mirage Gate. And here is the first flower selecting. They're going to go ahead and take a card here. Really hard choices, but they go ahead and send a ordinary route out to the Lost Zone, and it looks like we're going to go ahead and potentially see them start to pivot around here into the other Comfey. Yep, there is the scoop up net. They're going to pick that up and reset that one, promote the one from the bench, and flower selecting once again. Looking at another 2 cards and sending one into the Lost Zone. Just now 5 away from the magic number to start really doing some work. Rebenching the Comfey here definitely feels pretty solid. I throw him the ability use marker so we can keep track a little bit more better visually. If you like these ability use markers, we might be adding them as an incentive to memberships on the channel. We do see a switch into the reset Comfey and yet a third flower selecting. Looking at the top 2 there, I see they are eyeballing down a boss or a Sableye. I do think they decided to take the Sableye, send the bossing orders. Bossing, wow. Bossing Say. There is no boss orders in Bossing Say. And yeah, we have the Colress Experiment for the turn here. Going to look at the top 5. Put 3 of those cards into their hand and send 2 into the Lost Zone. Looks like they had a couple energy cards. And it seems to be pretty rough. They decided to take, it looks like, 2 of those energy cards and something else I couldn't quite see, but they get rid of a Mirage Gate. And already at 5 cards in the Lost Zone on the first turn, feeling pretty good. We see an a turn attachment on to that Giratina V, and this could just be a pass from them here. And yep, I do start it off. We do pop the Blastoise VMAX off the top of the deck and evolve. We do put down the Radiant Blastoise, and we're going to go ahead and start discarding Water Energy cards to put 2 damage counters onto their Pokemon, so we're going to start softening up that Giratina V. I do go ahead and attach a Water Energy on to Sobble here. And this could just be a keep calling to grab more Sobble from the deck. Yep, 3 Sobble found from the deck here. Getting these slapped down and taken care of here, shuffling up, and passing the turn back over to Trezor. We do see them bench down an Oranguru and use the ability Primate Wisdom. Going to swap a card from their hand to the top of the deck. I'm just going to slowly move over these ability use markers so it's a little bit easier for us to keep track of everything going on here. And yeah, that first one hits on to that Comfey as well for that flower selecting, getting rid of the battle pass that they most likely put on top of the deck with the Oranguru. We do see a Radiant Greninja hit the bench. There's a little bit of a glare, but we can keep track of that. And yeah, there goes the ability used. Discarding a Grass to draw 2 cards off the top of the deck. Digging a little bit deeper here, we do see the Giratina VSTAR evolve off of the V. I believe they're just at this point 1 card away in the Lost Zone from hitting 7, so they can start using Mirage Gate. And there is a turn attachment of a Psychic Energy onto the Giratina. But they could also just be stuck. Nope, there is the escape rope here. I'm going to go ahead and pivot into another Sobble, and then they're just going to go ahead and bring up that Giratina. In hindsight, I do remember we discussed after this game that this was a misplay, that they didn't have what they needed. He thought he had 7 in there, but only had 6. So he should have brought up that over the Comfey here to be able to use Flower Selecting one more time, get one more card in the Lost Zone, and then commence the jiggling with the Mirage Gate. And there is the Lumineon coming down from the hand, using Luminous Sign to search for a supporter card from the deck and grabbing a Chloris' Experiment. So able to salvage the situation here with that Lumineon, getting out of that misplay. And yep, gonna look at the top 5 here. Take 3 and put 2 in the Lost Zone, and then now they'll be able to play Mirage Gate to get those last little bits of energy in play. Of course, though, Giratina using its attack and having to send 2 energy cards to the Lost Zone on just a mere little Sobble doesn't feel too good in hindsight as well. And yep, there is the Mirage Gate. Gonna go ahead and get energy out of the deck. And they're just gonna double commit to the Tina here, getting a Grass and a Psychic from the deck. That way they can go ahead and just send those 2 there, and the next turn have access to the V-Star Power Star Requiem to be able to just instant KO. And considering that Blastoise has 330 HP, the 280 from Giratina's Lost Impact just doesn't quite do it. So yeah, they are going to swing in on to the Sobble. We do lose those energy, and I promote a Sobble that has the energy onto it, but I do evolve into Drizzile here for Shady Dealings to search for a trainer card. And I do believe we start popping off with things like Melanie or Irida. Double checking my hand to figure out what I'm doing. Yeah, go ahead and grab the Melanie here. This is going to let me attach another energy onto the Blastoise and draw a couple cards. I'm not quite getting to a point where I can attack this turn with Gmax Bombard, but we'll see what happens here. I'm going to go ahead and play that Melanie, attaching and drawing 3 cards. Drawing into a couple water energy, though, isn't the best feeling. Going to go ahead and bench down another Blastoise V, attach for turn on to the Vmax, and then we'll use the Scoop Up Net, which we do lose that water energy, but we get to pick up that Sobble and Drizzile, and then here comes the Blastoise Vmax with its first attack, Grand Falls. And it'll do 120 damage, and I'll be able to accelerate up to 3 water energy cards from the deck to my Pokemon in any way I like. But I'm not quite done yet. We are going to go ahead and evolve another Sobble into the Drizzile here for another Shady Dealings, searching for another trainer card. At this point, just future-proofing myself. I'm most likely grabbing something like an Irida here. I do remember these games, but I don't remember them 100%. So I'm kind of like just reliving the experience here as we commentate these games. I do decide to grab a rare candy here. This will let me evolve the other Sobble into an Inteleon here. So we could either use some quick shooting and or go on in with the double Shady Dealings Inteleon. And yeah, rare candy, dropping the Inteleon down onto the board and using the quick shooting, putting 2 more damage counters onto that Giratina VSTAR, rebenching the other Sobble. And I think here I'm just going to go into Grand Falls for 120 damage. Only able to find 2 water energy here instead of the full 3 onto the Blastoise V, but at that point, you know, we have turn attachment plus we have access to Melanie to get to the 4 if needed. So being able to potentially have 2 Blastoise Vmax set up feels really good. Passing it back over to Trezor, and they're going to go ahead and start cooking the turn up here. They do need a decent amount to get to a certain point here. I do believe at this point they just have 9 cards in the Lost Zone, but we do see a concealed cards from the Greninja, discarding a water energy, drawing 2 off the top. Contemplating what to do completely. At this point, you really do want to get that 10th card into there and use that V-Star power to just instant KO the Blastoise VMAX. But we do see an attachment of a grass to that Giratina V-Star, and they might just be falling short here. I do think they are going to play a Boss's Orders this turn onto the bench Blastoise V and just take it out since they can't quite get to the 330 here. And yeah, there it is. Boss's Orders. And yeah, we're going to see that lost impact here to take a KO onto the Blastoise V and send it to the discard pile, with Dan taking an additional 2 more prize cards here. Getting pretty far ahead. 3 prizes to my 6 left. It's not looking too good for me, though. The best part about Blastoise, though, is you are able to take multiple prize cards on a turn here. So we'll be able to start doing a lot of work here. We do have another Shady Geelings Drizzile evolving to the Sobble, searching for another trainer card. At this point, I do believe I might need the energy attachment, so we'll see what happens here. Between quick shooting as well as Radiant Blastoise's ability, you'll be able to get a little bit more extra damage on there, and then Gmax Bombard will be able to clean up some of the smaller Pokemon, like those Comfey in play. I do decide to grab an Ordinary Rod from that Shady Dealings, and I'm just going to go ahead and put back Sobble, Blastoise, and 2 Water Energy into the deck here. And then we do slap down the Irida, searching for a Water Pokemon and an item card. We do grab the double Shady Dealings Inteleon, as well as a Capacious Bucket. I'm going to go ahead and play the bucket and grab the 2 energy cards we just put back into the deck, right back out. And we do go in with the Radiant Blastoise ability, putting 2 damage counters on to one of the bench Comfey. We go in with the quick shooting to also hit it for 2 more. Attach to the Blastoise VMAX for turn. We go for the double Shady Dealings here. We are going to go ahead and grab a Scoop Up Net, as well as, I believe, a Choice Belt here to get that KO on the Giratina VSTAR and take 3 prizes this turn. Now we grab an Irida for the future. If I'm not mistaken, the Giratina should already have 140 damage on it anyways, so the 220 will be able to clean it up pretty well here. We go for the Scoop Up Net, resetting the Sobble off of that Inteleon. That way we can start using Drizzile again on the next turn and still have the Inteleon to evolve off the other Drizzile as well. And yeah, we're just going to go ahead and take the KO on that Giratina and the Comfey and put 30 damage counters on to the Lumineon with that Gmax Bombard. And Trezor does promote the other Comfey here, and they start their turn off. The game is now officially tied up thanks to that thick 3 prize turn with Blastoise VMAX and all those extra damage counters from Inteleon and Radiant Blastoise. They decide to bench down a Sableye here. They are at the point where Lost Mine will be able to do everything it needs to do, and they also bench down a Cramorant as well. There is the turn attachment on to the Sableye here. And there is the flower selecting coming in the clutch after the Primate Wisdom. We'll see what they can find here off of these abilities. They accidentally shove that Comfey into the discard, but we correct that really quick. And here is a scoop up net to be able to reset this, get that out of the active. And here comes the Sableye. Sableye actually could cause a lot of problems here. They could decide to take out the Drizzile or the Sobble in place of their damage counters elsewhere, but they just commit the full 12 to the Blastoise Vmax, which just doesn't feel too hot for them. We do start off now by drawing for turn, and this is where we need to be able to clean up this game and take 3 prize cards here. A lot of thinking definitely goes on in the process of playing this deck, being able to put the damage counters in the right place and knowing when to use which cards and which sequence really does make a massive difference for a typical, as people say, dumpster VMAX to really have its time of day. Now, them not re-benching that other Comfey could have potentially made it a little bit easier on me, but we do evolve that Sobble into a Drizzile once again and search our deck through with a Shady Dealings. I do remember, if my line of play is correct, we end up taking a few prize cards this turn as well. There is the boss's orders, and we do bring up the Luminion that is softened up. In hindsight, also, I wish I would have put those damage counters somewhere else instead of the Luminion, such as the Oranguru or the Greninja, to weaken those up a little bit. But we go ahead and evolve that other Drizzile into the Shady Dealings Inteleon. We're going to go ahead and grab a Scoop Up Net and a Training Court. And here the line of play is actually pretty simple. We're going to quick shoot the Sableye, and then we're going to go ahead and Pump Shot with the Radiant Blastoise onto the Sableye as well, and then Scoop Up Net, and then Pump Shot again with the Blastoise onto the Sableye, and then Gmax Bombard will clean up the last little bit here to get to where we need it to go. And bada boom, bada bing, and we take the last 3 prizes in this game. All right, and now we're going into a game 2, and Trezor did shake it up a little bit and decide to play Arceus Goodra instead of Giratina. We played a few other games as well. We played a game earlier in the day with the Blastoise versus the Zoroark, and I wish I would have recorded it then too, because that was also a really good game. We both start off here with mulligans, exposing a little bit of our decks. Gonna go ahead and reshuffle up and attempt to set up again. Of course, the little cut action in between shuffles. And here we go. We're both going to draw our 7. And hopefully we find some basic Pokemon here. And it looks like I find the Radiant Blastoise. And Trezor has yet another mulligan. Also, if you want to go support Trezor, they do stream over on Twitch. I'll have the link to their channel down in the description below. They're really awesome, really good friend. They come and play at our shop here and play in our tournaments, and just been an awesome supporter of the channel, both here and on Twitch as well. So big thanks to them for coming out and recording some matches with me the day before Christmas Eve during a crazy snowstorm that we had here in the Midwest. Hopefully, if you guys like this, don't forget to smash the like button and let me know that you like this sort of content, and I'll do my best to get more people on board to come and record some gameplay so we can have it up on the channel, and we'll perfect everything a little bit better in the future. We do see them starting off, though, with the Arceus V in the active and 2 Goodras on the bench, and I do, of course, start with the Blastoise, and I do hit the level ball. I wish I would have had the Sobble in my opening hand and not necessarily the Radiant Blastoise, because it does have a thicker retreat cost here. And I am going to double check my deck and see what I have prized. Definitely important to do in every game. We do get that Sobble down to the bench, and I am going to go ahead and do a pump shot here, discarding a water energy to put 2 damage counters on the active Arceus just to soften it up a little bit here. And then I just straight over pass it up to Trezor. They find another Arceus. They slap down a Big Charm onto the Goodra. Big Charm is definitely a problem, since Goodra VSTAR can take 80 less damage when it starts attacking, and that Big Charm makes it even higher HP. I do show off that Battle Pass that I drew off the top of the deck, wishing I had it on the last turn, but we do start off with a Shady Dealings evolution of a Drizzile onto that Sobble, searching the deck here. Gonna go ahead and grab an Irida. We do grab the Blastoise V as well as a Quick Ball. Blastoise does in fact hit the bench, and then Quick Ball discards that dead Battle Pass to find another Pokemon here. In this situation, I feel like I do grab the Palkia. This deck has a 1/1 Palkia in here, so that way I can potentially next turn, after I get enough energy in the discard pile, with Pump Shot and other effects and abilities here, to be able to use Star Portal from Palkia VSTAR. Following up here, though, there is a Capacious Bucket grabbing 2 water energy, and we're going to go ahead and discard one of those with Pump Shot to do another set of 2 damage counters onto that active Arceus. We go in with a Scoop Up Net on the Drizzile and bench the Sobble back down. Use a switch to get that Radiant Blastoise out of the active. Attach Return onto the Sobble and keep calling to grab 2 more Sobbles to really start using this deck. While I'm shuffling up, though, Trezor has drawn for turn, and they do find the Arceus VSTAR here, using that Starbirth ability to search through the deck for any 2 cards they desire. And in this situation, I feel like the best line of play would have actually been evolving the back Arceus and then using its Starbirth, and then just finding the double turbo and attaching that to the active Arceus, committing that it already has 40 damage counters on it. It's already pretty close to being KO'd by Blastoise Vmax on the next turn if the deck sets up correctly. That way they could have at least used Trinity Charge to set up one of these Goodra Vs. I'm not quite sure what they find here with the Starbirth, but it looks like we do see 2 cards added to hand. Of course, that's what it does. I'm just rambling at this point in time. I haven't commentated over a match in a hot minute. There is a turn attachment on to that active Arceus. They're just kind of hoping that we don't get to the Blastoise or a KO on the next turn. And a boss's orders onto the Blastoise in an attempt to stall me out here. But they decided to pass it up after that. We do have the Palkia VSTAR. I'm double checking my discard pile to see how many I have in there. We do go ahead and evolve the Sobble that has the water energy into a Drizzile to search the deck here. We go ahead and grab another copy of Irida. We're going to grab Blastoise Vmax. as well as the Scoop Up Net. And the Scoop Up Net's going to let me pick up that Drizzile that has the energy attached to it to get the energy into the bin, and that'll make 3 in the discard now. That way Star Portal can do its thing, rebenching that Sobble, and then I have access to that Drizzile once again here off of another Sobble to search the deck for another trainer card. And I don't quite have enough in hand to do everything I want to do, so I do think I grab a Choice Belt here so I can pump shot onto a benched Pokemon instead of the active. I definitely remember taking a little bit of time here on this search. I just have 2 water energy cards in my hand. I know at this point I'm guaranteed to take 2 prize cards no matter how this breaks down. So I could have potentially sent up for a future turn. But now I just start brainstorming math and damage counters and numbers here. So yeah, I do grab the Choice Belt to slap down onto the Blastoise. So that way I can use the pump shot elsewhere. Going to go ahead and grab the energy from the discard pile. Flip that V-Star marker up, pointing to the Palkia, showing off that Star Portal, attaching the energy, attaching the Choice Belt, doing the pump shot, putting the 20 on to the Goodra that does not have the big charm, since the path to victory is definitely set up here. And then we go in for the Gmax Bombard to take the KO on the active Arceus V-Star and put 30 damage counters on to the already damaged Goodra as well as the Arceus V. And I do take nice 2 prize cards, feeling pretty good. We do see that Arceus come up, and then they slap down Crystal Cave, something that's a thorn in Blastoise's side, to heal that damage off of that Goodra V. There is the double turbo attached to this Arceus. And yeah, they just go ahead and do the Trinity Charge, loading up energy onto one of the bench Goodras. And again, if in that last turn they had, if they would have just went ahead and used the benched Arceus as the V-Star and then set up the Trinity Charge, they would have been a little bit more well off this way. But I do start off with a Melanie, and I'm going to attach a Water Energy to the Palkia V-Star, drawing 3 cards, seeing what other options I get access to here. And I do get that Crystal Cave out of here ASAP with a Training Court, so I can start grabbing energy from the discard pile and reusing Pump Shot every single turn here to spread more damage. We do evolve the other Drizzile into the Quick Shooting Inteleon, and I start to think about where I'm placing my counters, and we're going to go ahead and load up that other Goodra, and at that point, Dan just scoops it up. And that's the game, that's the match. Hope you enjoy the content. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Pokemon TCG action. And yeah, we'll see y'all in the future whenever I see you. Much love, and peace out.